Okay, we're live again.
Okay, presumably so. Um, should probably
Chrome's gonna
get
crash
that
next, isn't it?
totally.
We're gonna have a stream up of just the the tier list.
Yeah, that would be funny.
At this point, why
Uh,
not? We all right, we guys. We're sorry for the technical difficulties here. Somehow it's my fault. I don't know what happened. Um, we were having problems before this too, so just not our night. I guess we are never streaming on a Tuesday night again. I've decided.
yeah, I mean, Mother Internet is just being weird, or I don't even know if it's internet. It's just like Mother, software. I don't know.
I don't
It's
know.
just I would not know either. All right, let me just open it on my phone. Okay. All right. Well, shall we resume?
Yeah, I believe we were getting to 25.
Do you just want to for anyone who's like watching this, like the VOD? Do you just want to recap?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
or
we've
I can recap or whatever works best.
If you want to, you can, since it is
Sure. So
your
like
your
these were
rankings.
we're doing our power rankings 32 through 1 or 1 through 32, starting from 32 and going to 1. So at 32 I had the Saints, they absolutely suck. I have the Browns, they also absolutely suck. I have the Jets, and while they have talent, they suck. Giants are not very good. Titans, I do believe they could outperform 28, but I think their roster is pretty talentless otherwise. At 27, I have the Dolphins. I think there's just a lot of drama and things like that, and they're not going to be very good. And at number 26, I have the Colts because they have a very questionable quarterback situation. Now, outside the quarterbacks, they don't really have that much talent on the roster to justify putting them much higher. All right, are we ready for 25?
Yeah, who have we got? Who have you
All
got
right.
at 25?
The long anticipated at number 25, which would be my eighth worst team, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Is a team again I think they did some good things. They have some good parts. I just don't think they're that really good all around. Is the Las Vegas Raiders.
Nice.
Um
Vegas at
yeah.
25.
So again, they've done a lot of good things. They have Brady as like a minority shareholder. Geno Smith. They drafted Ashton Genty, which is probably going to be a good draft pick. They have okay receivers, but I mean, I think Jacoby Myers is still their number one receiver, and it's just like I'm not really sure how consistent that is.
They got Brock
I just
Bowers though, so there you go.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I think they're just another team. Like they have a lot of good players, but all the way around, I'm just not sure that I believe in them to be like some like mid-tier team. So I think they have a long way to go from contending. Geno Smith is probably not like their long-term solution. I think they'll probably be looking elsewhere. Although I can respect the fact that they did try to sign Geno, presumably to win now. But he's probably not going to be their guy to like win them a Super Bowl or a playoff game or anything like that. So I do have the Raiders at 25.
Yeah, I agree with them being lower in the rankings. The way I kind of sum up what they are now after all the moves they made going into next season, they're going to be lots of fun, but still lots of losses. So that's kind of what Vegas is right now. Maybe they're building something for the future. They got some young weapons. Bauer's already one of the best tight ends in the league. And then Genty's probably going to be a pretty good running back. Usually, if you're drafted that high as a running back, you pan out pretty well. So maybe they're building something. Revisit them in a couple seasons, probably.
Yep. Seems like a good case.
So
All
for
right.
comparison, I had the Raiders at 23 in my rankings. So we're just a
Okay.
couple of spots off for a lot of
So
these
far, we kind of
teams.
are on the same wavelength. That
Yeah.
does check out. Okay. A number 24, and I actually have this team actually a little high because I think they could actually outperform expectations.
It's gonna
And
be the
they're kind of my,
Jags.
sorry, what?
Is this gonna be the Jags? I've been
Yes.
waiting on them.
Jacksonville Jaguars at number 24.
All right. You want to tell
I
everyone
just
why you like the Jags more than others do? I got them at 26, so
yeah. No, I think the Jags. Now you could make the same arguments I've made for other teams, which I mean to be fair, they're still kind of in that cluster of like teams that are not very good, which is that they do have a lot of talented players, but across the board they like may not be that good. I just kind of believe in like a Trevor Lawrence kind of like career rejuvenation. I think that under Liam Cohen, he's going to be able to do some good things. He has Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas to throw to. He has Travis Etienne as his running back. They have some solid defensive pieces and Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen. So, I think they have some talent, and I think if Trevor can kind of like return to like, well, I say return. I don't know if he's ever really been like top 10 or top 15, but if he can like go to like that sort of form, take that next step, I do think the Jags could be really good. Like, I mean, the type of season that I'm kind of projecting from them would probably be closer to like 18 or 16 or something like that. I just think it's probably safer to like put them in like 24. They're still kind of the bottom feeders of the league, but they do have potential to just be creeping up.
Oh, they definitely do. They've got some weapons. It's really, to me, it's just Ryan Thomas and Travis Hunter who are the weapons. I'm not really a Travis Etienne guy. Honestly, I think Tank Bigsby might be able to take over that job from him this year. He kind of was outplaying him last year, so don't love their running backs. And I was never a Liam Cohen guy. I really wasn't. That's not going to change until, I guess, he proves that he's the guy. But yeah, they've definitely got potential if Trevor can be Trevor Lawrence, the one we expected him to be when he was drafted. But that's another one that I gotta see it first before I'm willing to believe, because we've not seen him do much yet, unfortunately.
Yep, that is true. I mean, we do have to see sort of, we do have to see what he can do, what Trevor, and the whole regime can do. All right. At number 23, and this will be a reveal that the Panthers are a top 2 team in your division. I do indeed have the Atlanta Falcons at number 23. So we already have the Saints, out of the way. We have the Falcons. My take on the Falcons has always been meh. It feels like they're always 7-10, even though I know that's not technically the case. It just feels like they're always like 7-10, whether they have Arthur Smith as their coach or Raheem Morris. Did they go? What was their record last year?
I think they were 7-10.
Sounds about right. They were 8-9 actually, so actually game better.
Darn.
But well, yeah, exactly. Wow, they started 6-3, which is absolutely crazy. Yeah, I think a lot of people forget that like Kirk Cousins had that like good game against like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in overtime where he threw for like
plus yards.
Yeah, 500 yards, like 5 touchdowns or whatever it was, but obviously, he was too inconsistent to keep the starting job. And I think, there's always like I think the years before they went 7-10, and like they've always had, some talent, you would think. Like they have Bijan Robinson, they have like Drake London. I guess they have some solid defensive pieces, but, it feels like their pass rush has always been lacking. But yeah, I don't know.
I don't want to defend Atlanta, but they did take steps to fix their pass rush in the draft by adding Jalen Walker and then James Pierce Jr. So that could be fixed up a bit.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say about Atlanta, though, they're basically in the same position as Carolina. Like they fixed their biggest issue on defense, which was pass rush, and it's really going to come down to how much the defense actually improves and how far your quarterback can take you in the offense. So. I think Carolina is more likely between those two teams to take that next step, but Atlanta is very much capable of being good. It's just how much do you believe in Michael Penix Jr.? That's really what it comes down to. So,
right.
Obviously, they could see a breakout from him, and they're amazing, or they could be contending for a top 5 pick in the draft. Could go either way.
That is totally. Those are totally on the table, and honestly, I think your comment that they kind of replicate the Panthers in that is kind of foreshadowing, because at number 22. I do have the Carolina Panthers.
You got them 5 spots too low, but that's okay. That's the first team that we're really that far apart on. Like even Atlanta, I think it was just a 2-spot difference. I think
so. I just like. I've obviously seen your like why are the Panthers going to be good video, and like I understand your arguments. I just like don't know. Well, one, there is a question mark with Bryce. And like like part of it's like. Projecting, like I'm not necessarily projecting him to be bad, but I'm also not projecting him to be good just because he had that 6-game stretch or 8, however long it was. I I do think maybe the receivers. I know you've named the receivers, try to justify them being good, but I don't think they're the most impressive unit.
Well, that's because
I
they're
do.
also kind of like based on potential. Top 10 or not? Yeah, top 10 pick Tedero McMillan, and then
Yeah,
Xavier Leggett should
T-Mac,
be due for a breakout in year two.
Thielen, Leggett, Xavier Leggett. Some reason I cannot see a breakout season from him. Okay, that's fine. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, I guess you'll have a solid defense. I don't know. Actually, I've heard that defense is not that great, right? So I don't know. You could probably
It's
speak to this.
everyone craps on the defense because they forget that Derek Brown is a monster in the trenches. With him returning, that helps the defensive line, and then we have basically a completely different defensive line compared to what we had last year, and then we drafted 2 edge rushers, so it's a new look defense for the most part. It's probably not
Sure.
going to be good. My argument was that it's probably going to be closer to average, which is a big win for us based on how terrible it was last year. And we still have JC
Okay.
Horn in the secondary, by the way. Just casual reminder there.
Okay. Actually, fun exercise. If you want to do it real quick, since it kind of gives you a platform to talk about the Panthers.
Okay.
Okay. Who is y'all's like best player?
Um, I guess it's JC Horn probably. I would have a year ago I would have said Derek Brown, but then he was out all but one game, so recency takes into consideration that JC Horn played last
Yeah.
year. So
Because what I'm kind of realizing looking through these is like, and not that this like necessarily justifies or like should change or anything like that, but like, I actually think like, I actually think the teams below you have better high end players, like top two say players that, or top 1-2 players than like you guys. I think you guys are just a little bit like better spread out. Like for example, the Browns, they have Miles Garrett. Miles Garrett is
yeah,
way
best
better
defensive
than
end in the
JC
league
Horn.
for sure.
Giants have Malik Neighbors. You might argue. I don't know. It might be early to say Malik is better in his position than JC, but
Yeah, I think
Giants have
that's
some good
definitely a
players.
stretch. I would argue JC would lock him down. Actually, wait, I'm curious. I'm gonna look up that game last year between the Panthers and Giants. I want to see. I don't remember if Malik played in that game, to be honest, but I'm curious if he did
Okay,
and how that went, because I feel confident JC Horn would have been the one covering him. So we can kind of, if you want to
probably.
make that comparison, because now I'm curious.
Yeah, no, you should, as you should be. But like Raiders have Max Crosby, who's better. I would say. I don't know if the Jags really have a better player.
No, they
But
don't.
I think the cards are
They
pretty
don't.
close. Falcons have Bijan. I'd probably say he's better.
Well, he's top 3 at his position. The only argument we can
Yeah.
make for a top player at their position would be um, Derek Brown, when he's healthy, was probably top 5, maybe top 3 defensive lineman.
Mhm.
I'd also
Yeah.
argue Taylor Moton is one of the top players at right tackle. Robert Hunt been
Yeah.
one of the top right guards the past couple seasons, or at least last year. Um,
Right.
it's probably the only players on our offensive line I'd argue who are that high at their position, to be honest. But the left side needs more help in terms of consistency. But they're good enough. They're good. So, but it's the right
Sure.
side of our offensive line, Taylor Moton and Robert Hunt, who really buff up the offensive line and make it as good as it is. There are anchors, you could say.
Right. Now did you look up, was Malik Neighbors indeed
And
locked down?
I'm getting there. I gotta go find last season.
Malik Neighbors was held to 6 catches for 50 yards. So
It's pretty good.
that's
I don't
not
know how
bad.
to find out who was guarding him that game. I
Yeah,
assume
you
JC.
probably have to like
but-
actually watch the highlights and see.
Yeah.
But yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I mean, I think I actually get that's kind of an interesting sort of paradox to where like I think a lot of the teams below you have like better top 1 or 2 players, but you have like way more like worse players objectively, but like they're better. You have more good players spread around, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And,
I think we have fewer weaknesses now. People don't realize it because of how bad our defense was last year. I think we got fewer weaknesses now. We still need another safety, and I think I mentioned in my Panthers video, I'm not confident in our linebacker room either, but overall, like I think we're gonna be, despite that, I think we'll be an average defense and above average offense. So it really just comes down to how well Bryce is gonna play this year. And I think T-Mac is going to be good, and that's not even a bias thing, all right? I've been advocating for Tedero McMillan for the past year. I was saying last year, you can find it in our server, he's going to be one of the best receivers in that draft class, and there he goes. So it's not even a bias thing. Like I liked him well before he was on Carolina's radar.
That's
So
fair.
I'm just
I do
saying
believe you are correct there.
the
Yeah.
the league at stuff. Yeah, that's part bias because I am choosing to put my faith in him to have a breakout season, and I don't even mean like elite receiver. Just get him 1,000 yards. That's good enough at this point. And we got Thielen,
Yeah.
who's gonna be solid as always. Another name to remember, and I forget sometimes. We do have Hunter Renfro. I'm not sure I
Oh,
even
do
named
you?
him in my Panthers video, but we
Oh,
do have Hunter Renfro at receiver.
that's funny. I kind of forgot that. Wasn't he out for a year? Like, did he just
Yeah,
not play for a year? That is kind of
yeah, he
weird
was
and
he was
random.
really sick, I think.
Oh
So
wow. Okay.
he took a break. I think he retired, maybe. I'm not sure. But then he's back and he's playing for Carolina this year. I'm just assuming it's not going to be much because that's the safe thing for me to do is just not buy into any Hunter Renfro hype right now. But
Mhm.
maybe he's going to revert back to his Vegas days and he'll be good again. I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
so we have a bunch of unproven guys right now, basically.
Sure.
It's
That
possible
could be
they're all
good.
going to bust, but I'm choosing to believe at least one of them is going to step up, you know?
Yeah. That is probably a fair assumption. Okay. So number 22, we had the Panthers. At number 21, a team I never really know how good they're going to be, but for the most part, they're always mid. I think they're kind of the epitome of mid, actually, is the
Steelers?
Arizona
Oh,
Cardinals.
that makes sense too. You
Yeah.
say
I don't
mid,
know
I
which
think
team.
Steelers. That's fair though. Arizona, the team we own,
Yeah.
is going above us. Wow, 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 wow.
Yes.
Don't like that.
Well, I mean, I think the Cardinals are mid. They have Kyler Murray, but you just never. He's just never. I
He
feel like
puts
never
the
that
mid and
consistent.
the midget in mid, or however you want to say that.
The mid midget.
Oh yeah,
The mid midget. Oh my gosh, that could be like
what an amazing
I
nickname.
don't
I'm
know
sorry, Kyler. I root
catchphrase.
for a
Yeah.
midget in Carolina, so these guys are
Wow,
taller than
that's
me, by
actually
the
like a
way.
solid video idea. The mid midget, and then just a picture of Kyler Murray, and then just like gives I don't know talking about the Cardinals just to have that out right.
That's gonna be our Arizona Cardinals breakdown for 2025. We're gonna call it that. The mid midget.
Nice. Yeah,
Perfect.
definitely.
I see no problem
Nice.
with that.
There we go. So
We're gonna offend
yeah,
so many people.
yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I don't really have very many constructive comments about the Cardinals. Like they have James Conner, who you always think at some point is going to regress, but he seems to keep having good seasons. They have Marvin Harrison, whom you have thought would have been like a better sort of like
No, dude, he
better
had
as a
what,
rookie.
like 800, 900 yards last year? Like, he was fine.
Did
It's
he?
just that he's
Yeah,
Marvin Harrison. So, yeah, look up his stats real
yeah,
quick.
that
I
is
think he
true.
was better than the media portrays. Like, they're acting like he had, like, Xavier Leget's season with 500 yards and a bunch of drops in crucial moments.
Right.
No, he was,
Yeah.
like, 800 yards, I think, or
Yeah,
900.
885, 8 touchdowns. Yeah, no, he had a solid.
That's
Yeah,
fine for a rookie. That's totally fine, you guys. Just because he wasn't Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, or Lad McConkey, I mean, really, it's fine. He had a
I think he
decent
also
season.
had. I think he had a really good start to his career. Like I think his first or second start, he had like a really good game. I forget who it was against, but I do remember. See, funny thing is, I remember it because of fantasy. I don't think I had him in fantasy though, if I remember correctly. Which would be kind of weird to like kind of remember that, but yeah, he dominated the following week. I'm reading off Wikipedia against the Los Angeles Rams with 4 receptions for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns, all in the first quarter. As the Cardinals cruised to 41-10. Wow, the Cardinals beat the Rams 41-10 early in the season last year. That just
Dude,
goes to show
they
the
were a weird
NFL.
team early on last year.
Yeah, I just never know what to make of them. So for that, I put them at number 21.
They're like so they're similar to the Steelers based on how mediocre they seem to be, except the Cardinals can actually be dangerous to play against. Steelers are just the Steelers, so you know exactly what they're going to be. The Cardinals, you don't know which version of them is going to show up. It's always
Yeah, I
different.
do remember in 2023, we played the Cardinals. I think it was Kyler Murray's like second game off injury because remember he was like injured for the first half of the season, then like came back and
Yeah.
like I think they were way worse than us, but it was a very close game because Kyler Murray like just like ran around and stuff like that. That was a fun game to watch. But anywho, at number 20, maybe a team I've put off a little bit, putting them in the bottom feeder. I still think like they're a little bit unnecessarily criticized. And they might be a little bit better than people are expecting them to be. The Dallas Cowboys at
boy.
number 20.
Coach Schottenheimer leading the way.
Yes, because I think a lot of people think they're gonna really suck. And I think honestly, a lot of people think the Cowboys and Dak Prescott just suck.
I have the
And with
Cowboys at 21, so we're again near the same page.
yeah, and like I don't think they're gonna have some great season. I think obviously if Brian Schottenheimer is your head coach, that is gonna, that's gonna probably have some problems, right? I mean, unless he's the next boy genius that no one knew about, I guess it's possible, but I wouldn't really feel great about it. And they came off of a rough season last year. I mean, in theory, Dak is coming back. They do have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, and like, so I guess they have some talent. Are they? They're not still starting Zeke, right? Ezekiel
I
Elliott.
don't even know where Zeke is these days. I think their starter is Javonte Williams.
Oh, that sounds
Terrible, yeah.
right. Um, their starting running back is Javonte Williams with Miles Sanders as the second, and
Oh yeah,
Deuce
Miles
Vaughn.
Sanders. That's right, because they let us get Rico Dowdle, and we gave them Miles Sanders. It wasn't a trade; it was free agency, and that was a stupid move by them. I don't know what they're
I
doing.
will say this about their receiver room, which I'm looking at. They do have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, but beyond that, their depth. Well, I guess their third receiver is Jalen Tober, who I've heard is decent.
That's a
Right?
decent wide receiver 3 to have, I'd say.
But yeah, but their depth is Cavante Turpin and Jonathan Mingo and Jalen Brooks. Just a lot of like no names. So I feel like they're an injury or two away in the not running back, in the receiver room from just being a not a great.
If CeeDee Lamb were to get hurt, they have a terrible receiving room right there. I mean, I know George Pickens is good and all, but I don't know that you want him to be your wide receiver 1 based on his off the field and sometimes on the field issues. I already
Yeah.
am not sure you want him on your team at all if you're Dallas, but they did it, so.
Well, yeah, they did it, and he ditched his football camp.
Yeah, great
Right.
thing to do. Yeah.
Totally. So high character. All right. At number 19, I think a team that a lot of people think could be really good. I just have a hard time projecting it is the Chicago Bears.
Yeah. I think I had them at 20. It's crazy how close we are in a lot of these.
It actually is. Yeah, I actually didn't like look at your like rankings. I will say what I did just in case. I don't think there should be like any shades of like this equivalent of like plagiarism. I did copy and paste some like random power rankings. I think it was NBC Sports or something like that, and I did move it around. So there's like a little bias one way or another. It might be because of that, but I didn't even look at your power rankings. I just like I
didn't think you did. It's just funny. Like,
yeah, no, I only did that to list the teams, and because it was just hard to kind of think in my head who was like, and then I was just like, I just moved everyone accordingly. But
that's fair. That's
yeah,
fair.
Chicago Bears at 19. I think I do recognize that they could be like some top 10 team and like even like like win a playoff game and stuff like that. Like I think they got Ben Johnson. They obviously have Caleb Williams. They kind of fixed the O-line. They have some talented receivers. I'm not sure how good their defense is. I guess they're all right. I think they're pretty good actually, if I remember.
Yeah, they're
correctly.
solid, I think.
Yeah. I think in week 1, I remember they had a really good performance because Caleb kind of had a bad performance individually, but their defense kind of like, but anyway, so they're just kind of feel like another team like in no man's land where it's like, they're probably going to suck, but at the same time, they have all the tools and stuff to be really good. So
yeah, the potential is there for them not just to be a playoff contender, but they could be Super Bowl contenders. They have that potential if Caleb Williams it lives up to his hype, and if Ben Johnson is that good of a coach. It's very possible. It's just not something that we are comfortable predicting because it's Chicago.
Yeah, that is totally fair. It is Chicago. I mean, at some point, I do at some point need to take a stance as to what I think about Chicago because like I do think they could be really good, but on the other hand, it's the Bears. So before the season starts, somewhere in a video, I'll talk about what I actually think of the Bears.
I think
but for
they're
now,
missing the playoffs this year, but they're going to be feisty, and then next year is when they're breaking through.
Yep. All right. So at number 18, another team that I actually kind of think will be good, and actually I'm a little bit more confident in them, like at least making the playoffs and stuff like that than the Bears, maybe, is the New England Patriots.
Oh, yeah.
So
18 Patriots. I'm in 19.
Yeah. Okay. So I think they are just kind of like one of those teams in that realm to where like like they could be really good, but they're also not necessarily like either they don't have the roster, or maybe in the Bears case, they kind of have that history. So you're not really sure what to make of them necessarily. But I do think like they have Mike Vrabel. I think Drake May. I think a lot of people seem to be saying like Drake May is like actually really good. He was just on, a terrible New England roster. And, they splashed in free agency. They got, who's the guy that was going to go to Carolina? Milton Williams?
Yeah.
Right? They got him. They got Diggs, which I know they're, like questionable human being, but he's going to be productive for them, you would think.
Probably. Better than
yeah,
what they had last year, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think, like, Mike Vrabel's going to be able to, like, kind of tighten the ship. And, like, I kind of think they will. I probably would maybe predict them to be, like, a surprise playoff team, like the surprise, like, 7 seed. But even if not, I feel like they probably will fall in somewhere in, like, 7 to 9 wins.
Definitely. It's also worth mentioning, I think they drafted a running back, right? I think they got Travion Henderson, and that should make a good duo with Ramondre Stevenson. So I'm looking forward to seeing that play out. That should help Drake May a lot, give them a running game this year. I'm nervous about the receiver room because I don't really trust Diggs at this point. I don't have a great feeling about it, but I would expect him to be good enough. It's obviously better than what they had last year, so I think as long as the offensive line doesn't get Drake May killed, I think they're in for a pretty solid year. I'm definitely a Drake May guy, so.
Nice. That's great. Yep, that checks out. Okay, so had the Patriots at 18. At number 17, maybe the true epitome of mid, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yay.
We've talked a lot about the Steelers on this channel because of the whole Aaron Rodgers stuff, and they also recently traded for Jalen Ramsey, so I guess they're really all in, which, I mean, makes sense. Like, you only have Rodgers for 1 year, presumably. And then after that, just going to have to, like, figure out, like, what to do from there. I don't necessarily want to, like, belabor all the points we've made about the Steelers, but I do think Aaron Rodgers could have a solid kind of final season, and, like, he has some weapons to throw to. Obviously, like, Mike Tomlin, you can hate him and all you want, but he has proven to be a solid coach through the years. Has he maybe kind of like regressed and other like young coaches passed him up? Most likely, but he's always been like pretty solid. They have a pretty good, defense. They still have TJ Watt. I guess they don't have Minka Fitzpatrick, but they do have Jalen Ramsey for what that's worth. And they have Jonnu Smith, right? Or they got Jonnu Smith.
Yeah,
right?
they got Jonnu Smith.
I got that right. Yeah.
They also have
they have Jonnu Smith.
They have Darnell Washington, so they have all the tight ends now.
Wait, who's their other tight end besides Jonnu and Darnell Washington?
Pat Freiermuth.
Oh, interesting. Okay, wow.
Yeah, he's been their starter the past few years. Like, he's been solid.
Aaron Rodgers be loving his tight ends.
I guess so.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, Steelers at 17, I think that's about where they belong. Just right in the middle. They'll probably just win like 9 games and maybe sneak into a playoff spot. But,
it's funny. I don't think 9 is going to be enough for them this year.
9 to like make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think if they go 9-8, which I'm guessing they will, they miss the playoffs. And the AFC has so many talented teams. I think you need 10 wins this year, maybe 11.
Yeah,
it just depends.
That's probably the case. Very likely the case. You do have a lot of talented teams in the AFC. Okay, at number 16. Maybe I wouldn't call this team the epitome of mid. It's just that they're really good on one side of the ball, but terrible on the other. In the same division, the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, man. You got the Bengals at 16. All right.
Yes.
Hang on. I have them at 11, so we disagree a little bit there. I got them like borderline top 10. So why do you have them that much lower?
So I just, I don't know. I just kind of like saw their defense last year. I see their defense last year, and it's like, I'm not really sure. Well, I think it's between that and just the fact that, like, Trey Hendrickson's holding out, and, like, the guy that they kind of drafted to replace him is also, like, it does kind of seem like this year there's a lot of drama throughout the organization. And, like, I'm not going to deny that they have a really talented, offense. I mean, they have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, but I just think that, like, I just don't really think they have the defense to, like, be a top 10 team. And as great as their offense is, I don't think that they alone could kind of elevate them to that level, is kind of my thought. Do you have them
Sure.
at 10 or 11 is what
I
you
have them at
said?
11. Their defense,
Okay.
their lack of a defense, keeps them out of my top 10. But I
Yeah.
think that their defense, I'm assuming, me ranking them as high as I did, I'm assuming that they figured it out with Henderson and their rookie. And I'm assuming the
Mm,
defense won't be as bad as it was last year, just maybe a little better. It won't cost them as many games, at least. And the offense will still win them games. I don't think they're a real contender, but I think you're going to see them in the playoffs. That's kind of what
yeah.
I'm going with.
I think that's likely. I just kind of see them as having a similar season to that of the Steelers, but obviously in like a different realm to where it's like they'll be very talented and like probably win like 8, 9 games, maybe even 10 or something like that. But just like, it'll just be like, can their defense, I mean, if their defense improves though, they will be a really good team. They could be
Oh,
a
yeah,
team to watch out for. Yeah.
definitely.
Awesome. Yep. Okay. At number 15, I have the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay.
I think part of this is kind of believing in Sam Darnold. I mean, they do have like a talented offense. They have the two running backs, Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. They have Cooper Kupp, JSN, and I think their defense is solid for the most part. Maybe like their O line could have been, could be a little better, but I think the Seahawks are maybe a little bit better than they're given credit for. I think they're actually kind of a well-rounded team, is kind of my perspective. And yeah.
I mean, my perspective is there's just kind of mediocre in my opinion. I'm a big JSN guy, and I'm a big don't write off Cooper Kupp guy. So I like their receiver duo.
Sure.
I don't love their running back duo. I guess like they're fine, they're good, not great in my opinion. We're gonna have to see how Darnold does though. The Seahawks season really comes down to that for sure, and a lot of that's gonna depend on the offensive line in my opinion. So I guess we'll see. He's not gonna have the same system in place that he had in Minnesota, so it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to find out how he fares in Seattle. I think I had them at 18, like right below Carolina. So
Yeah, 18. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just close to average, something like that.
Sure.
It's like I don't know. They're kind of hard to judge, honestly. When you got Sam
They
Darnold
are a
quarterback.
little hard to judge. Part of it is the uncertainty with Sam Darnold. Like you just don't know how he's going to do after his sort of brilliant year.
So let me ask you this though: do you think they upgraded at quarterback, or do you think they downgraded?
So going from Geno Smith to Sam Darnold,
Yeah, or is it
my
just like
hunch,
a same?
my my hunch is that they upgraded. I think they got someone who's like a little younger, who had a better season, and I'm pretty sure would be like, yeah, he's definitely more mobile, right, than Geno Smith. I don't think like
Probably
Geno's
a little bit
necessarily.
more mobile for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I mean, I think if you want to put like his past terrible seasons, behind him, Sam Darnold, that is, you could. I mean, you could say the same for Geno though.
Right.
As Geno's proven it for years that he's like a solid quarterback, whereas with Sam Darnold, we don't really know. But
Right.
my assumption, I'm not even saying it's correct. My assumption is that they did probably upgrade.
Okay.
Maybe.
I'm curious. I'm looking at their stats because I think they're similar. Like Darnold had 4,319 passing yards. Geno had one more yard than him, 4,320.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
So they had comparable passing seasons. Darnold had 14 more touchdowns though, and 3 fewer interceptions.
Yeah, I think having more touchdowns helps. It is funny that they were neck and neck in yards by like one single yard.
I didn't realize that till like just now. That's crazy.
That is funny. But no, I think for me it's mainly like an age and like an age thing. Well, age, production, and just like, I think like I just kind of like if I like I actually don't remember. I assume I ranked Sam Darnold higher. I actually don't remember though. Let me actually check.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Those two are like the hardest quarterbacks in the league to rank right now. Even though Geno's played solidly for the past few years, it's hard to rank him.
So I had right. Let's see. I had Geno at 18. Did I have Sam Darnold in like the top 16? I said I had Geno at 18, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, I had Sam Darnold at 16.
Okay.
So I did have Sam Darnold slightly above.
So you do view it as a slight upgrade then?
Yeah, slight upgrade. I don't think it's necessarily anything substantial, but I do think definitely if I'm like building a team around one of them, I would take Sam Darnold just for age.
Sure. But just for
But,
one year, what do you do? You
yeah,
still
it
go
is
Darnold?
closer, but I would probably still just kind of hedge my bets with Sam Darnold.
All right, there you
Because
go
I feel
then.
like with Gino, I know what I'm getting. With Sam Darnold, I feel like I could get, like, there's a chance I get another MVP type season.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No,
All
it's
right.
good questions, though.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
it's hard for me to even answer that because I don't know how he's gonna do outside of Minnesota. Like Minnesota is just such a great place to be a quarterback, which is why I'm struggling with JJ McCarthy because I was never a JJ fan, but now I'm like, how do you fail in this place? You know? So
Well, speaking of which, my number 14 team, the Minnesota
I
Vikings.
promise you guys, I actually had no clue Minnesota was next, but that makes sense.
Totally not scripted, right? Well, we proved with the Bengals one this is not, scripted or,
True.
collaborated or anything like that. So the Vikings were at number 14. I mean, I think for me it just comes down to I think they have, potential. I think they have like the talent, especially on offense, to be like top 10, top 5 even maybe, but I just have no idea with JJ McCarthy. But I do think that he'll be able to play good enough. Like I think the team overall will be like just pretty good and just be able to like make a playoff push.
Sure.
But just like it's just kind of like it's kind of a better version of No Man's Land where it's like they're probably pretty good, but I have no idea with the quarterback.
Yeah, I feel like they have a pretty high floor just because of everything they've got in place outside of the quarterback position. It's just how far can JJ McCarthy take them?
Mm-hmm.
Have I compared them to the 49ers with Jimmy G? I think I did that in our JJ
Yes,
McCarthy.
I
Like what do we
believe
think of
so.
him? That's
Right.
that's like to me that's their ceiling just based on how I view JJ McCarthy. Obviously, if I'm wrong about JJ, then their ceiling could be, the Chiefs. Maybe he's Patrick Mahomes. I don't know. We haven't seen him play yet. He could be
I
anything.
highly doubt he's Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah,
but
I
you
doubt
never
it
know.
too. I see Jimmy
Right.
G. I see them being
Yeah.
like the 49ers with Jimmy G. So that's still a very high ceiling. The Vikings are not a team to write off.
Yep. Definitely seems like a fair point. All right. At number 13, a team that I think a lot of people believe will really improve, partly because they do have an easy schedule, but that being the San Francisco 49ers.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think they'll be back. They still have, I know they lost some guys. I know they lost like Dre Greenlaw, I believe, and who's the other guy who went to the
Hufanga?
Broncos? Well, there's Hufanga. I thought there was someone else like on the defensive line or linebacker, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
Greenlaw and Hufanga, they both lost to Denver, I think.
Greenlaw and Hufanga. I thought Kinlaw as well.
Where did Kinlaw go? Yeah, they did lose him too, I
Did he
think.
go to the Eagles?
Mm,
He's a
don't.
commander. Okay.
Okay, sure, why not? And they
Oh,
lost
he wasn't even on the 49ers last year. He was on the 49ers the year before. So
okay.
they
I was gonna say
lose
they
Kinlaw.
lost Ward in the secondary too. They lost him to the Colts, I think.
Jimmy Ward?
No, Tarvarius.
Oh, okay.
He was
Oh, that's right.
solid, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, but I think the 49ers are going to be solid all the way through. Like CMC is supposedly going to be healthy, and I think if you get another healthy season out of him, he's going to kind of like, I don't know if he's necessarily going to terrorize the league, but he's going to be really good, have really good production.
Sure. Yeah, top 5 running back when healthy, probably.
Yeah, obviously Brock Purdy's solid, and you have you have Juwan Jennings. Who knows with Brandon Ayuk if he can,
Yeah.
return to form. George Kittle. So they do have like a lot going for them, and I do think they have one of the most brilliant minds in football, which being Kyle Shanahan. I know they had a rough year, and there are going to be people like hating on him or whatever, but I still think he's a really solid, like really good coach.
Yeah, I don't think there's any debate about that. The only thing you should be debating is if he can ever win a Super Bowl for San Francisco or anyone at all. But obviously, he's a very good coach. No one should be arguing that.
Yeah, definitely. So I do have the 49ers at 13. Where'd you have them?
I think I have them at 12. I put the Rams at 13 and Niners at 12 just because I have the Niners winning that division over the Rams. So I felt it appropriate to put them above the Rams in my rankings.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. Well, I do have the Rams a little bit above. But at number 12, I do have the Green Bay Packers.
Ha. All right. Green Bay Packers go at 12. Outside the
really
top 10.
Solid. Yeah. Why not top 10? I mean, I think like I just don't really like I don't think they have the high end players that a lot of the other teams do. Like I
Sure.
nobly think of their wide receiver room. Like they don't have like that
They got a
one guy.
solid wide receiver room, right? It's like,
Yeah, but I would even say like on their defense, like I can't really name some like all-star player.
yeah, because they don't have J.R. Alexander anymore, so they need help in the secondary.
Yeah.
I think
Like
they're
I
pretty
think they have
young on defense though right now, like young talented
they
players.
probably are. That's true. And I mean, maybe they can develop and be better. Lucas Van Ness, right? That's totally working out. But they do have
They have that linebacker from A&M, right? I don't, Nick something
uh
Edgarin, maybe.
maybe
I think he was with the Packers. 'Cause I
yeah.
remember
I
thinking
actually
he
don't
had a good case to win Defensive Rookie of the Year last year, but no one was really talking about it for some reason.
they have underrated players Xavier McKinney.
Oh yeah, no,
Um
he's one of the best safeties in the game.
yeah, I feel like Nate Hobbs. Why do I feel like that's a good player? Nate Hobbs. I don't know.
I don't know
Well,
either.
he was on the Raiders. Interesting. He has 3 career interceptions. I don't know. Maybe it's just a name I've like heard before. But they do have they also have Quay Walker, Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark. So they do have like some solid Isaiah McDuffie. Isaiah McDuffie, wasn't he? That's not the Chiefs McDuffie, is it?
No, that's
No,
Trent McDuffie.
Trent McDuffie. Right. Okay, yeah. So they do have some solid defensive players, but I do think they kind of lack the high end players that maybe there might actually be some other team. Maybe the next team coming up actually doesn't have all that much high end players. We'll get to that. But
Yeah. No,
that's
I
kind
get
of
what
why
you're saying. I get what you're saying. I do think they have one of the better running backs in the game. His name doesn't come up when thinking through the best running backs in the league anymore for some reason, but Josh Jacobs is definitely up there. He's a very good running back.
yeah.
And I think Jordan Love he's probably a top 10 quarterback still, but lower in the top 10 if he's not in the top 10.
Sure.
But with the potential to be an elite quarterback, their season really comes down to how good he can be this year. So even if they don't
I
have the
think
top
so.
tier players, it's really where exactly we put the Packers in these rankings doesn't matter. It's just what does Jordan Love do is really what it comes down
Yeah,
to.
exactly. It is with
So
a lot of these teams. It does come down to their quarterback. So I would probably agree with that.
that's fair. Yeah.
Okay. At number 11, another team just right outside the top 10. And I also do kind of think, maybe because they are really good overall, but don't have the super high end players. But I think they have a high end coach, is the Denver Broncos.
Okay. Yeah, they
So
do not have the high end players on offense at least, but you want to talk about the defense because that is a stacked unit for sure.
that's true. Yeah, they do have a high end defense actually. Like they have obviously Pat Surtain. They have the guys the 49ers let walk to them, Hufanga and that other guy.
Yeah, I
Armstead?
forgot his
No.
name already, but he's good. So and the
Not Kinlaw.
Greenlaw, it was Greenlaw. Is that
Greenlaw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kinlaw, Greenlaw. That's so confusing.
It
But
is.
yeah, they have a very good defense. And I think Bo Nix is like, he definitely has potential to be one of the best quarterbacks in the game. But maybe their offense needs some work. I think sounds like I think they have some like maybe developmental guys. I like running back and receiver. I've read the guy's name, but
J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey for their backfield, not ideal, but maybe Harvey's going to be really good as a rookie, or Dobbins is solid when he's healthy as a starter. At receiver, that's where more people are concerned, but Cortland Sutton is he's solid, and they got some younger guys. They need Marvin Mims or Devon Vele to step up, but yeah, it's not the most ideal receiver room, and Evan Ingram at tight end is nice and all, but how much is he going to help, I guess?
Right. How much is he going to help is the question.
Yeah, they need to make a splashy move for a big name receiver, in my opinion. Like next offseason or maybe during the season if somebody wants to leave their team. That's what Denver needs to take the next step. But yeah, that's fair. Put them at 11.
Yeah, that is totally fair. Okay, great.
That brings us to our top 10.
Yes.
Or your top 10, pardon me.
Yeah, my top 10.
You've already got teams I have the Packers at 10, so our top 10
yeah,
is guaranteed
and
different.
this is probably a team that we have somewhat different is the Rams.
Yeah, I have them at 13, so
yeah. Okay, that's actually not
that means our top 9 are all the same teams, whatever order.
Yeah, I just okay, for everything I've said about Kyle Shanahan, I actually probably believe in Sean McVay a little bit more. I think Sean McVay, like, he was like
He's actually
obviously
won a
like
Super Bowl, so you should
he
believe
has
in
won
him
a
more.
Super Bowl, and I think like early in his career he was known as some prodigy. Then he had a rough year, and I think we've kind of forgotten about him honestly in the conversation of like the top coaches. Like, I still think
It's
he
because
probably
we don't talk
is.
about him as the young up and comer anymore because he's still young, but
No, right.
he's won a Super Bowl. So
It's
when we talk about
crazy.
the young up and
Sean Mc,
comers, it's not him anymore.
do you know how old Sean McVay is?
He's
Just
like
curious.
he's like 40, 41.
He's 39.
He's not even 40
Which
yet. Nice.
he's been coaching for like 8 years, and
That's
39 is still
wild.
considered young. Like, how old's D'Amico Ryans? I'm actually curious. I think he's like 39, 40. He's 40, right? So I mean, we consider D'Amico Ryan some like kind of like youngish higher, like, but like Sean McVay has been in the league for like almost a decade at this
It's
point, and
crazy.
he's
It's
only
crazy.
39. Yeah, that is crazy. But anyway, I probably consider Sean McVay. I would say he is a top 5 coach, probably
Oh no,
definitively.
no,
I
without
would
a
say like,
doubt. Without a doubt.
yeah, Andy Reid, maybe like John Harbaugh, maybe the other Harbaugh.
I'm
I'm just
putting
trying to think of.
McVay's above both Harbaughs
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying
for
to
sure.
think about who I would put in the top
Okay,
5. McVay and like,
O'Connell, put him up there maybe.
yes, I do also think O'Connell's like has. I think that this time next year he'll be a top 5 coach. Maybe
Gotcha.
I put like LaFleur over him right here, right now, but
Dan Campbell maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean he is clearly good. I think I have said that he did shift the culture in Detroit. I have to give him that credit.
Look, he revived the Lions. Like that makes him like the greatest coach of
That
all
is that
time.
is something. Yeah, I mean it is that like basically like the top 8 coaches are all really really good.
Oh yeah.
What's up, fellas? How's it going, King Rays? We are doing power rankings. I don't know if we've talked about your team yet. Well, I was gonna say like odds are we have because we've done most of the teams. So also I imagine probably a lot of people are fans of like the better teams. So maybe we haven't got to your team yet. I should know. Do you know King Race's team? I don't.
I'm trying to remember. Are you the Denver fan?
Oh, is that you? Okay.
I
Then
don't.
we
It might be.
did just talk about your team,
I don't
but
know.
I don't know. That could be totally mistaken. But I do have the Rams at number 10. At number 9, I have in the same city, right? Yeah,
You
the
got the
LA
Chargers.
Chargers.
Chargers at 9. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I got them at
I just
7, so I'm a little higher on them than you are.
okay.
So
Yeah, I think
why only 9? What's holding them back?
oh, I mean 7, 9, 9 it's okay. Well,
I mean, I
like
know that's a small difference,
okay.
but you
Yeah,
know,
but like so like I think like I just think like the teams ahead of them like it's probably has to do with like the fact that like they've just had some like ugly playoff losses, and I think losing to us in that wild card game isn't really like some like is not exactly an indictment on them. And I just kind of see the teams like ahead of them and just like think that they're like all slightly better.
sure.
Obviously, like the Texans who are still coming up beat them head to head. I think the Commanders are better. Oh well,
Those are the two we
reveal the order.
disagree on. I think the Chargers are a more solid team overall than the Commanders. And then I think the Commanders, or sorry, not the Chargers are the Chargers and Texans are like just right there with each other, in my opinion. That's how it was going into the playoff game last year. It's just the Chargers no showed while you guys played lights out in defense. But I still like the Chargers better overall, even like after this
Yeah,
offseason.
I think actually, and I kind of did reveal kind of my next two, but it's whatever. I probably think I meant to have the Commanders actually a little lower, but that's what it is. Those are my power rankings. I'm gonna stick to them. Although I definitely didn't make last minute edits. You know what? Let's make a little edit Rooski here. Because I'll go ahead and put the Commanders at number 8.
Okay.
So I think obviously really high end team. I guess what I would say though is like, just for those arguing, like for me, like put them like higher is just that like, yeah, their roster outside of, like Jaden Daniels. And I know they got some like free agents, like they got Deebo Samuel and Laramie Tunzel and players like that. But, but outside of that, they don't really have the most talented team to where like I wouldn't really feel comfortable predicting them to
having
Super Bowl
Jaden
or
Daniels makes up for a lot of hidden problems that you had last year.
Yeah.
Like the defense wasn't actually that good. Outside of Terry McLaurin, I don't love your receiver room. And I was never a fan of the running back room, so it's like I don't really know what to think. You're going to be good, but I don't see you improving. You know?
Right. Um, yeah, it does seem to be the case, and I'm not even here saying like Jaden Daniels sophomore slump. I think he'll be fine. I think it's just that like
Yeah,
the
we've talked
roster
about
isn't.
that. There's not going to be probably not going to be that big of a slump, but the expectations after you go to the conference championship, I mean, just don't have them too high. It's okay if you don't repeat last season, and it's okay if you don't go further.
It
It's
is
year 2 of the Jaden Daniels era, and you still
it
got to
is
build the team
indeed
around him.
a-okay. It is indeed year 2 of the Jane Daniels era. All right. At number 7, a team entering year 3 of the CJ Stroud era, the Houston freaking Texans.
Okay, so I'm curious, why is Houston above Washington?
Uh, I think they just have a better overall roster. I think honestly, like the main thing holding them back, maybe outside of receiver, is the offensive line. Like I actually seriously think if it's not for the offensive line, Houston is like maybe Super Bowl contender. I think they would be an outside Super Bowl contender. I would definitely put them closer to like 5 or 4 ahead of maybe some of these other teams. I just think we have a
Sure.
bad offensive line, and like I think CJ is a little bit better than he's given credit for because of the sophomore slump. But I just think like I think honestly like the Commanders had a little bit of an like you have a little bit of an easier path in the NFC. Not I'd have to remember who they played. They beat the Bucks,
You also
right?
have to remember that you're in the AFC South, so it doesn't get much easier than that.
Well, I'm saying like like it was easier for them to make the NFC Championship than it would be for us to make
Okay.
the AFC Championship.
Well,
Like
they had to beat the top seed Lions to do it.
okay.
I mean, I get
Has
what
the
you mean
Lions
because the AFC is so much more stacked and they have that clear big 3 there. So it's really hard to break through that.
Yeah, they had to beat the Lions.
But yeah, the Commanders
I
did have
don't
to take down the
know. It
Lions.
might. I honestly think it's more. I don't know. I think it would have been more impressive if we beat the Ravens than if they beat the Lions. It might just be like a head-to-head thing that we struggle against the Ravens. But
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say.
think all the way through, like without a doubt, we have the better defense. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
think, like, and they probably for all I know have a solid defense. But I think, like, because the
y'all have
reason
the
I have
better
the Texans,
defense. I think they have the better offense though.
yeah, I'm definitely
In
right.
a
Our
way,
offensive
I'm gonna
line
make a
doesn't help us
weird
face.
comparison. I feel like it's how you compare the Bengals and the Steelers. Like they're on that same level. They're just kind of different from each other. The way I ranked them, I think, I might be wrong because it was a month ago, but I think that I just went with who I thought was the better quarterback, and right now it's Jaden to me.
Mm,
Or also, like, who would you pick if the teams played? Which also I'm not even sure.
right,
They're so different. It's hard to make that that prediction.
right. Yeah, that checks out. No, I just think like I think the Texans will bounce back and will just kind of like be a little bit better than we're kind of given credit for. But also it is like important to note like I don't really think we improved our offensive line that much. So I mean I think we did kind of make some patches and maybe there will be some kind of like stylistic things that we do different that helps the cohesion or something like that. But it's not going to be some like long term fix. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if we still struggle in that area and that kind of like holds us back. So anyway, so I do have the Texans at 7. A team at number 6, I think this might actually be shockingly high for a lot of people, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But
I think I had him at 6 too, so we're not
yeah,
disagreeing.
but I mean, I think Baker Mayfield is a solid top 10 quarterback, if not even like top 5. And obviously, he
If
has
you
like a
based it on last season, he is a top 5 quarterback.
yes, he has like some great receivers, really good defense. And yeah, I think just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is kind of cohesion wise, our team to really believe in. And I've always been saying like they're kind of like watch out for them as like a dark horse Super Bowl team or at least NFC Championship appearance.
I've not said it until this season. This season, I'm kind of feeling it, but we'll see.
Right.
I'm really hoping that now that I'm saying that, it's not going to be true, and they're going to fall off the face of the earth, and Carolina wins the division. But secret agenda notwithstanding, Tampa seems like they're going to be in for a really good season.
Right. Okay, so that leaves us with our top 5, which it should be clear who the top 5 teams are. The question is just going to be in what order. So
Yeah, we've
in
got the
no
same
particular.
teams in our top 5, so I'm curious to see how different the order is.
All right. So At number 5, and I think this might actually be a little bit low for this team. I think a lot of people are perceiving. The thing is, I just see them crap the bed in the playoffs, which is the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
I just like they're obviously really good. I mean, your top 5 team, like
I got
you're
them at
automatic
3.
Super Bowl contender. Yeah, but I just think the Bills are better. I've just seen the Bills have I think Josh Allen's better than Lamar Jackson for what it's worth, but I
Okay.
think maybe you think differently. But honestly,
I
like
think that's.
I
I don't think that either is even better than the other. Like it's just so they're on the same level. I feel like it's unfair to call one better at this point. Like,
I mean,
they're both so good.
we've had some very nice comments and about our evaluations, right?
Right. So
Nice
nice.
YouTube comments, right, about who is better, Lamar Jackson. But as you said, like they're both they're kind of one. I mean, unless you
They're both
consider Mahomes.
MVP caliber quarterbacks. I
Yeah,
mean,
they're let's just say Mahomes is 1, they'd be 2A, 2B. It's just
yeah.
I also don't think it's fair to really, I think I prefer Josh Allen, but if you think Lamar Jackson's better, I just think
If my
I
team
tend to
had to
think,
have one or the other, I'd probably lean Lamar personally.
yeah, I think I just tend to lean Josh Allen just because
I
I think in the
like Josh
playoffs that's
Allen.
going to sustain more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that though. That's that could probably be a debate for another day, but I
The
do
funny
think.
thing for me, because you say you think the Bills are better, I actually think the Ravens have the better team overall, and I think they have the better coach. And I just said I would lean better quarterback ever so slightly, but that's not really a big factor for me in this case. I say that, but also I'm prepared to pick the Bills to beat them in the playoffs. So it's like they're the same. They're both on that same level. You can really your top 5 here. You can put them in any order, and it's understandable.
So I guess it could kind of question the I don't want to say legitimacy, but it's if I think that Team A has a better roster than Team B, but I always see Team B in the AFC Championship and not Team A,
Mm-hmm.
should Team A be in it because they have the better rosters? I think I tend to lean the kind of the playoff route, which might
Yeah,
explain
sure.
some rankings coming up. But I mean, I just tend to think that if the team makes the playoffs, or well, not makes, they're both going to make the playoffs every year, but
Yeah.
if one side clearly is making it farther than the other, then I'd probably tend to lean that way. But I do see what you're saying. I think on paper the Ravens probably could have a better roster. Obviously they did sign Jair Alexander, and they have a really scary secondary, as we sort of talked about. But I just think if I had to pick one or the other, who I trust more to go to the Super Bowl and win it all, I'd probably pick the Bills.
Same here, which is so weird because both of these teams keep losing in the playoffs. It's always the Chiefs who get through, and the Bengals are the only team that's kind of gotten past them. It's funny because I believe in the Bills too, but they also come up short in the playoffs. So I wonder why it is that we're more down on the Ravens' lack of playoff success than we are the Bills.
I think no, that's a good question. I think you could look at the numbers. I think I think the Bills have made more AFC championships. I think
I think so.
they're also notorious for that one game, which was the 13-second game / coin toss game, where they did really play the Chiefs well.
That
and
still might be the best game I've ever watched, honestly.
yeah, it was absolutely crazy. And there could also be something to where I don't know. I think
It's like they've gotten closer.
they have gotten closer more consistently. I think the Ravens are also known for these horrible playoff losses, which I have said they have had some good playoff wins as well.
Yeah.
They've beaten the Texans. They I think they beat the Titans once. So they've had playoff success. They've won playoff games.
Right. It's not like they can't win in the playoffs. It's just they can't go all the way.
Right. Yeah, they do struggle to do that. Awesome. So that was my number 5 team, right? The Ravens.
Yeah, so now we're in 1 through 4, starting at 4.
All right, at number 4, I have as the second best team in the NFC, the Detroit Lions.
All right, so I had the Lions at 5, below the big 3 in the AFC and Philadelphia. So
Okay.
if the Lions and Ravens played, you would pick the Lions to win? Can I interpret it that way?
Yes, it might depend. Okay, if it's week 2, it could really go either way. But if it's a Ravens Lions Super Bowl, I would probably.
That would be some
It would
Super
also
Bowl.
depend though on how Lamar Jackson played in the playoffs. If he was actually playing really good in the playoff games leading up, I might be inclined to go Ravens. But I do think for everything's equal, I probably would just pick the Lions.
All right,
I think
fair
they're
enough.
slightly better.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Just so that people
obviously,
watching understand like that.
yeah, no, I get that. Those are really good questions though. But obviously, like the Lions, there's a lot of good things we can say. I do think it's a little surprising that they haven't made the Super Bowl yet in the Dan Campbell era. Although it's
They
only
were
really
so
been
close 2 years ago. They lost at the end against San Francisco when they had the lead, and then last year it just I don't know, the defense their defense was an issue after they lost Hutchinson, but they made up for it for long enough and it just caught up to them in the playoffs. So hopefully
yeah,
this year they stay healthy and they can go all the way.
right.
And I've already said
Um,
like I got them going to the Super Bowl, so I believe.
Yeah, and as I put in my quarterback rankings, I did have Jared Goff as the top quarterback in the NFC. Maybe a little bit of a hot take, but I do think he's really good. He's taken multiple teams. Well, he's taking the Rams to the Super Bowl. I think I kind of said that assuming one day he'll take the Lions to the Super Bowl, but
Right.
he did take the Rams to the Super Bowl and then kind of like helped with Dan Campbell help make the Lions, kind of like relevant and good again. So I
Right.
think he's a little bit underrated, just like career wise. Jared Goff, that is probably
He's
'cause he got
definitely not as
traded.
respected as he should be.
Right. Definitely. So that was the Lions I had at 4. Okay, at number 3, and I'm actually going to go ahead and debut this shirt. The Buffalo Bills. That's definitely not awkward. Okay, I have the Bills.
Okay.
Here. Let's
Oh my
go.
goodness.
There we go.
All right, what's
Yeah.
the story here? Why do you have that?
Why do I have that? I think I just ordered it.
Okay. Why?
Well, just because I like the Bills. They're one of my favorite teams. Okay, honestly, it's like I did order it like a long time ago, so I forgot for the longest time that I had it
Okay.
until like recently when like I was like reorganizing stuff. And I'm like, oh, I have this like Bills jersey shirt.
Might as well
Don't
put it
forget,
on after the reveal.
I have a Tampa Bay Buccaneers one as well. Like I have these like random.
I at first I didn't realize you had that, so I thought you were putting on your Tampa shirt, and I was very confused as to why you would do that.
Oh, that I can see. Yeah, I did. Well, it is my first time debuting it here, but
That's
do
awesome.
have
Awesome.
that. Yeah. Well, the reason I like the Bills is because someone I know is a big Bills fan. It's like, okay, if they win the Super Bowl, I'll be happy for them. So it kind of makes sense. It's also it's a church thing. It's a little bit of a cultish thing, I think, actually, is where it's like now a lot of people in my church are Bills fans, but I guess I've fallen for it. Looks good on you.
Yes,
oh
it
yeah,
does.
thank you.
Yes, it
Actually,
does.
I don't know why Isaac was acting all confused, but I think
Come
it
on,
does look.
genuine. I thought it was the Tampa shirt at first.
Yeah, that is.
What is going on, dude? Why are you putting on a Tampa merch right now? No, that makes more sense though.
Nice. Yeah, so I do have the Buffalo Bills at number 3. I think you could like argue that like yes, maybe their roster like on theory isn't like the most talented compared to like the Ravens and like even the Lions and things like that, but they do have Josh Allen. They have like just like other pieces like James Cook, a solid receiving room, and like I think their defense is actually like pretty. I think a little bit on the underrated side.
Oh yeah,
actually, yeah. So I think their defense all the way. Actually, I'm curious. Buffalo Bills. Do they still have Von Miller? I don't even know if that would matter. But
well, now I'm curious. I don't know. I think no, he's gone because they got Bosa instead. They got Joey Bosa.
They do have Greg Rousseau. I think it's actually pretty underrated, or at least was
solid
at some point. Ed Oliver is pretty good. Joey Bosa, Matt Milano, Taylor Rapp, DeMar Hamlin. So they have a pretty solid defense.
Yeah, they're still solid defense. Okay,
yeah,
where's Von Miller though? Did he sign anywhere?
I don't think he signed. Von Miller. Oh yeah, he signed. He signed with the Cleveland Browns. No, I'm joking.
I was gonna say that doesn't sound right. Well, they actually signed a good player.
Right. 36-year-old Von Miller would actually probably be their best signing of the offseason.
Probably.
But yeah, no, so like they don't have Von Miller, but honestly, he's getting up there. But yeah, I'm gonna take this off because it's kind of uncomfortable with my other. It's just a little weird, but
fair.
Yeah, no, I just think they're like one of the best teams in the NFL. Maybe they don't have on paper like the roster that would reflect, but I believe in Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is like top 2 quarterback
I mean,
in
look,
the
our
league.
football for fun's early, very, very early collective Super Bowl prediction for next year was Buffalo over Detroit. So, obviously,
Yeah.
I don't disagree with them being this high. I had them at 4 personally, so in the
Mm-hmm.
top 4.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, like 4-2, you're just kind of, or whatever, 4-3, just
I'm
kind of like
guessing our top 2 will be
like,
the same though.
looks like it. Yeah, at number 2,
Yeah,
isn't Bosa
I
hurt?
think Bosa's recovering from an injury. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
He probably is. He's always hurt. That's like
right.
his main problem. He's hurt every year. So yeah.
Yeah. At number 2, yes, we do agree on that. So we have the Eagles at 2 and the Chiefs at 1. I think a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, but the Chiefs beat the. I mean, the Chiefs, not the Chiefs. The Eagles beat the Chiefs. Well, I do like. I think I just trust a team with Patrick Mahomes more than I would normally trust a team with Jalen Hurts. I do know, obviously, the Super Bowl happened and Mahomes got like wally mopped in that, and
Yes,
like
and
the
we
defense
acknowledge
like
that
played
completely.
well. Yeah, so it did happen. That doesn't mean that like I automatically just put the Eagles ahead of the Chiefs. This time last year, even this time, like in the middle of the season, like everyone would have said like the Chiefs are like better. And I know the Chiefs get a lot of crap for like winning all these like one score games, but they do win all of them. Like they were what 15-2, 16-1, something
Yeah,
like
15
that.
and 2, I believe. They
Yeah,
win games
so,
whether you like it or not. And they're going to be
yeah,
better next year than they were this year. Like they get Rashee Rice back. That's something a lot of people aren't talking about. He was injured early
right.
last year and he was doing really well. They get him back. They get year 2 of Xavier Worthy. And for some reason, the league let them draft Jalen Royals way late in the draft. So I assume he's going to be pretty decent as wide receiver 3. They still have Kelsey, who,
Yeah,
yeah, he's old, but he's still going to produce a little bit at tight end at least. And
yeah.
that defense is no joke. That defense is no joke. The only question is really the
Jones,
offensive line.
McDuffie, yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think they did enough to shore that up and make sure it's not going to be as much of a problem. I don't see anything to worry about if you're Kansas City. They're going to be elite again. I don't like it. No one should like it outside of the Chiefs fans, but they're going to be better next year. They're going to improve. I'm sorry to tell you that. No one's talking about it, but they're going to be improved. A 15 and
Yeah.
2 team got better.
Yeah,
You know how
that is
unfair that
actually
is?
frightening. Yeah, but like, and again, I know people are saying like, like the one score games. Like, I don't care if you win all these one score games. You're 15-2. You're 15-2, and like you said, they got better, so presumably they're gonna like kind of like. Now, some might say, "Oh, but it's gonna even out." I don't think like laws of averages apply with the Chiefs. I think they're just gonna like continue to
It's
dominate.
not like
And
the Vikings from a few years ago, or Daniel Jones
right,
Giants from when they randomly made the playoffs. Those are different cases. We all knew the Giants were going to fall off, and the
Mhm.
Vikings, we knew their luck wasn't going to keep up, and it didn't. The Chiefs, are
Right,
you really going to doubt the Chiefs after all that they've done, and after they've improved? They've actually made moves in the offseason, and they get injured players
yeah.
back. So
I mean, I'm starting to hear like the rumbling. I'd say starting in the context of like, I feel like we're gonna start hearing this for like years to come, which is that this will be the year when the Chiefs don't win the division. Like, are you out of your mind? Like, I guess at some point it will happen, but are you really? And I know it's a tough division, but seriously, you're gonna pick against the Chiefs? I mean,
it's hard to do.
and I know we have a Broncos fan in our, chat, and I mean, I think the Broncos are really good. I had them wherever I had them ranked. I mean, like, what
You
was
had
that,
them at
10?
11, I believe.
Yeah, okay, maybe I don't have them really good, but I do think the Broncos are kind of like a rising star. They're a rocket ship. They're going to be really good for years to come, but just not better than the Chiefs. I hate to break it to you.
Yeah, we're not closet Chiefs fans, I promise. Although I am a Mahomes fan, just not to the extent that some of the announcers out there are. My goodness, they need to chill out. But
Yeah, I'm always I'm kind of realizing like I feel like we should kind of appreciate watching Mahomes like while he's still in the league because like, he is the Tom Brady of this generation.
oh
And,
yeah,
like, there's always like part of me that like wishes I saw more Tom Brady and like Aaron Rodgers in his prime. So it's like now we should appreciate like Mahomes and like Josh Allen, and, like Lamar Jackson while we get them. And so
absolutely.
and about the Eagles, I mean, look, you're the number 2 team in the league. Like if the Super Bowl matchups were based on that, you'd still be in the Super Bowl for a second year in a row, which would be impressive. And like, yeah, you have a really good defense. I think you lost some key pieces, the Eagles, that is. Like you lost CJ Gardner Johnson and someone else. I forget like who, but I feel
Milton
like
Williams, they lost at the
they
defensive
did lose
line.
Milton
Josh
Williams.
Sweat.
Hmm.
Darius Slay is gone, although I'm not worried about their secondary.
I can only hope they regress this year. I assume you're talking about the Chiefs. Yeah, I mean, you can only hope it.
Hey, we're
Well,
hoping for the same, dude. I assure you that. We don't want to
yeah,
see the Chiefs dominate again.
it'll be hard to go 15-2 again, but they might be like a 13-win team, but they're just way better.
I hope that they're
But
at least fun to watch this year because we watched them a lot last year because they're the Chiefs, but they weren't fun. The offense wasn't why they were winning games after all.
they were just kind of scrappy, and like I know a lot of people
Yeah.
are saying like the refs, but they were scrappy. They did what they needed to do to win the games.
I love how
You
people
know,
blame the refs on like the early season wins, like against the Ravens. No, that was just they barely won, but it's because Isaiah likely didn't make that catch in the back of the end zone. Toe was out of bounds. And then week 2 against the Bengals,
yeah,
that was the right call that the refs made. I think most people agreed on that. But people are still going back going, yeah,
right.
the refs rigged that game. No, it was the right call. Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
There were some suspicious calls made, but like that's football. Sometimes that happens. It happens to all
yeah,
of us.
even like, and that's even coming from a Texans fan who lost to them in the divisional round, to where I do believe the refs made some, ridiculous calls. But I would also say, like, the refs are not responsible for CJ Stroud having been sacked 9 times in that game. So, like, we can blame the refs all we want, but like, would we really have deserved to like win the game? And we have a terrible offensive line. Like, I think we need to shore up the offensive line before us Texans fans complain about the refs. So
My team lost to them in the regular season. It was also not because of the refs.
yeah,
We gave them a
I
fight,
am
but
sure. I'm sure I did complain about the refs in the server. I'm sure you can search the keywords and like look for it.
I mean,
I'm
that's
sure
what
I
everybody
like,
does during the game, no matter who the opponent is. I
yeah,
complained every single week year about the refs, even though they weren't the reason we lost so many games. So, yeah.
right. That would actually be a fun exercise. I wonder if I can like do that. Just pull up like the chat history from
I bet you could.
yeah, so like 20, what day would that have been? It would be January something. Let's see. That game
Mid
happened.
January?
Yeah, that game happened on January 18th.
Okay,
I just
yeah,
looked up
mid-January.
reps. I'm just gonna see January. I'm just gonna do at least the public agrees that the refs are messing this game up. When we lose, that'll make me feel better. Wait, let me actually see. Okay, so I said, I don't think the chat was all that active like at that day, but it was like, happy game day is what I said. Already not a good start. Bro, why did our player shove his own coach? There's like a weird thing where it's like someone got a penalty and like the player like kind of shoved his coach. But I think like people kind of realized that maybe it was like taken out of context and he was like excited. Something like it was something weird. It definitely didn't look good on TV. Already not a good start, bro. Why did our player? Oh yeah, Stroud limping. Will we see the GOAT, Davis Mills? I guess there was a time when like CJ Stroud was limping. I'm trying to see if I said anything funny.
It's funny. I don't even remember this game. I'm not even sure I was able to watch. I might have been busy that day.
Yeah. No, I think you weren't really in the chat. It was only really me and like Sudoku for a second. But yeah, it was kind of a weird game in its own way. Like we were able to get Mahomes really well. But again, we had some like, penalties that were like egregious. I feel like even the regular season game, there were some calls that didn't go our way. But again, like, just like Tank Dell getting hurt and probably missing the next season is not the ref's fault. And that's shaking us. So like,
Yeah.
it might be the dark magic or whatever. And if you want to tell me that the dark magic is real, I understand. So are you predicting another Chiefs or Eagles Super
That's
Bowl?
an excellent question.
And not necessarily just because I have the teams like in that top. Although I probably will, just until I'm proven wrong, predict the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. Question is, who do I think in the NFC side is going to make it? I mean, I could see that. Although it kind of feels hard to kind of see the Eagles repeating. I feel like the Eagles might be like a candidate to get like upset in like the first or second round.
Yeah.
I
feel that way too. I don't have a concrete reason as to why, but
like I kind of feel like the Bucks or someone are going to beat them because they always do.
It's always
right?
Tampa. They got their number.
Chiefs Bucks Super Bowl would actually go crazy.
We've already done that.
That is true.
The Chiefs
Yeah.
always play the same teams in the Super Bowl. So it's been Philadelphia twice, San Francisco twice. We might as well make it Tampa twice, right?
It's gonna be Bucks again. Oh my gosh, the trend's gonna continue.
It's terrible. It's
I
terrible.
know.
Actually, it's going to be
Yeah.
Carolina because the league is scripted, and for some reason, all the things are falling into place for us. So we're going to lose to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and I'm going to be happy about it. Well,
Yes.
I'm going to be happy we get there.
Maybe you have a better wide receiver room.
No, we don't.
I don't know. Okay.
No, they got us beat.
Rashee
Rice is really good.
So they do have Rashee Rice, but who else do they have? They have
Just
Xavier
Worthy. That's about it. And Jalen Royals is their rookie late round pick, but he should have gone like third or second round, I think. That's what a lot of people thought.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. Cool. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I am predicting. I don't know if I'll actually predict Chiefs Bucks, but that does seem like a very realistic possibility.
As of right now, I'm predicting Bills Lions, but that's just me. That's
you.
America's Super Bowl. That's what we all want.
All right. Well, those are our power rank or my power rankings.
You can find my power rankings in another video on the channel. Shouldn't have to go too far back. You could just search through for power rankings, but they are there. I might revisit that in the future since I'm actually here now to do that myself. Right. That video is just Daniel reacting to mine.
React to yours. It was like, yeah, maybe a redo would be good. I mean, because also some updates have kind of happened. Like maybe it could be due for redo, but just
I'd probably make some changes to my rankings, but nothing drastic yet.
Nothing drastic. All right. Well, I think this will be a good time to call it off. I know there's some news. We did touch on the whole like trade with like Jalen Ramsey, which like I think again it is significant in its own right, but it also is just like off season. Like Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey was traded for Jalen Ramsey and
Johnny Smith.
Johnny Smith were traded for Minka Fitzpatrick. There's also some random pick swap, but
both teams lost the trade, you guys. In my opinion, nobody wins. If anyone wins, to me, it's Miami because they got the best player out of that deal. But neither team actually is improving that much. I don't see this changing their outlook.
I should kind of say the opposite. I actually say if any team won, the Steelers won because I like them having more players. But
I would agree with that if they were players the Steelers needed. Like they didn't have a problem at corner. I didn't think that they have a. Well, I guess they upgraded. They have Joey Porter Jr. and they have Darius Slay. So it didn't feel like corner was that big of a deal. Not to the point where you give up Minka Fitzpatrick to get that corner,
Yeah, I saw a meme with the realization that like basically what Jamar Chase does to a division. And it's like how like the Steelers got Jalen Ramsey and Jair Alexander to the Ravens.
And then you can add the Bengals there, but it's just their best player trying to leave.
Right. Yeah, that is funny.
Do the Steelers win a playoff game? No, I'm not predicting it.
I don't assume so.
If they even make the playoffs, they get blown out again.
Yeah, I think there is even the question, will they be able to make the playoffs, which does kind of seem like a stretch, but, may or may not happen. But if they make the playoffs, they're probably going to play like the Ravens or like
Bills,
whoever's seen it. Yeah, Ravens, Bills, something like that. They'll probably play a really good team and just get bounced.
I think they're going 9-8 and missing the playoffs. As of right now, that's my prediction. I think they need in the AFC. When there's so many good teams, I think you need probably 10 wins to make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's totally
exceptional tiebreaks at 9-8.
Yeah, it would. It'll depend on the tiebreaks for sure, or like head to head or whatever the heck happens. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching this episode of Football for Fun. Hope you are hanging in there in the off season. By the way, it is July, which means that this month there will be an NFL game. So we will no longer have months. The last month of absolutely no NFL football is, behind us. We have the Hall of Fame game against, I think, the Chargers and the Lions. On
July 31st, the Thursday, right?
Yes.
Do you know where that's going to be on? Any idea?
Oh, like which station? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Yep.
I mean,
I saw like a graphic it was like, it would be like, like Lions and Chargers, and it showed like Jared Goff and Justin Herbert, and it's like neither of them are playing in the game.
Right.
Like,
They better not be playing.
right. It
Oh
would be
man.
curious to kind of predict like who we think the best player on like either team to play will be.
Oh yeah.
So
Hey,
I wonder, like,
we'll figure that out for sure.
yeah. But I mean, this month we have NFL football for what it's worth. Woohoo! I mean, obviously there will be preseason in August, but football season. I mean, it's still the off season, but it's approaching.
We can see the light at the end of the tunnel now. That's where we are. We are getting there. We're suffering through the most boring part of the off season, but we are persevering. We're almost there, you guys. Just hang in there a little
We
longer.
are indeed persevering. We're putting up a live stream every week. We're trying to put up like about a short a day on average, and like some videos. So we are keeping you occupied in the off season. So if you enjoy our content, please feel free to like, comment, and most of all, subscribe. We are increasing our numbers. It felt like yesterday we got to 100. Now we're at 134. So we're like gaining some traction, getting up there. Yeah.
Yeah, we're hoping to hit our ambitious goal is 1,000 at the end of the year, but our less ambitious goal, I guess, is 500. So if you guys could help us out, we'd definitely appreciate it. So yeah, thank you everyone who is watching tonight. Really appreciate it. Thank you everyone who stopped by in the chat. King Rays and Sudoku were both here. Appreciate you guys. See if you have any questions you want us to answer in next week's live stream. Let us know. We have a mailbox in our Discord server, or you can leave it in the comments of our YouTube videos. We see the comments, so that works too. Just if you have questions, let us know.
If you ask a question or just say anything in the comments, we probably reply. Even if it's like a snarky comment, we reply to those.
Oh, yeah.
With like our sarcasm or something like that.
Yeah,
so
we reply to
everything.
everything.
We are so small enough to where we will reply to essentially everything.
Oh,
so, yeah. Just have a great rest of your evening, everyone, or day if you're watching the VOD. And not sure what we'll do next week. It'll probably depend on if there's any news, but if not, we'll come up with something.
All right, there you go. Everybody take care. See you all for the next live stream.
Take care. See you all.